Welcome everyone to the Comic Couch Review. Today we're going to be talking about the premiere episode of Supergirl. My name is JamesMan and today I'm here with Mr. JillyMcBeam.
Hello.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about the premiere for Superman's cousin, and it's quite an episode. Like, good start, I thought. Like, not perfect by any means. We're going to talk about that more later on, but I think it's a good start, and the action is really good. Writing, really bad. What'd you think, Chili?
I agree. I think the start was really well done. I actually liked it. I think out of the most recent comic book TV shows, I felt like it was the strongest pilot.
Okay.
I don't know. It's been a while since I've seen the other pilots, more than a year.
Mm-hmm.
But I really enjoyed this one. It was quick paced, explained a lot in a single episode, I thought, and there was some cheesy writing lines or whatever, you know. I mean, it's a comic book TV show, but yeah, pretty good, solid.
I'd have to agree on the thinking about like all the previous comic book show pilots. Yeah, I would probably say it's either the strongest or about as strong as I would probably say the Flash pilot, because it's kind of got the same kind of beats to it as that, as you know, getting your powers all in order and then, you know, fighting the one episode villain. Because it's like, you know, the Arrow pilot was kind of meh, it was just him fighting gangsters or whatever at the end. And then Gotham was just, you know, referencing everybody. And Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. was... We don't need to talk about that pilot. Yeah. So, yeah, I would probably agree that it is probably definitely one of the stronger pilots for a comic book show so far. And
not counting the...
What?
The Netflix series.
Oh yeah, no, not at all. Not counting that.
I mean, that I don't really count those as TV shows. They're more like mini series that are better than TV shows. So.
Yeah, I would say that like Netflix shows are kind of like shows that you kind of have to hold in a different standard as to regular television. So, but yeah, I would definitely say broadcast wise, really strong pilot. I did have a couple problems with mostly the writing. Just because a lot of it was pretty freaking corny, and I don't have a big problem with corny. I really don't. But it's like I mentioned this before we even did the episode, before we even want to talk about this, is it revels in the Richard Donner, Christopher Reeve Superman tones. You know, it feels like it belongs in that movie universe, and I'm not a big fan of those movies. I respect them, but I'm not a big fan of them. So it's kind of like I'm watching something that I'm not a big fan of tone-wise, but I think it works better here for Supergirl just because of the character is generally lighthearted from, you know, what I've read comics-wise about her character. Is generally a more lighthearted character. So I'm fine with the tone, but a lot of the writing is not up to par. I mentioned this diner scene where frickin' waitress, it's like the villain of the episode's watching television. The waitress goes, "Did you see the news, sir? Finally, a female superhero, someone my daughter can look up to." I'm just like, that is awful. Who let that go through? That was really the worst case. Yeah,
really reached for the stars on that one. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that was
no pun intended, actually.
I was worried you were going for a pun there for a second. I'm like, it's not that bad. But yeah, that was I'm surprised that was probably the worst case example of the writing. No, it was. It was absolutely the worst case. But it all felt kind of mediocre. One plot point I'm not a fan of, just because it's in every comic book show right now, is the secret organization that the hero is aware of or a part of. You know, it's like with Arrow, you've got freaking Argus with Waller and everything, and then the Flash, you've basically got the whole Star Labs team, and then
Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. is a secret organization.
Yeah, and they're fighting other secret organizations. It's a tired trope that I'm getting really bored of. But so I'm not a big fan of that coming into play. But I do like the idea that they presented where it's like when Krypton exploded, like I think it was the Phantom Zone, like they have it in a giant ring thing or whatever, and it lands onto Earth or lands on some planet. I don't know. They didn't really specify.
Yeah.
But so it's like all the criminals that were inside of it have escaped, so she's going after all of them. And I like that because, you know, you can do the Freak of the Week thing more often, I guess, now. And hopefully it won't feel so stale, because I know eventually you're going to be like, okay, can we get more serious threats going here, you know, more episode-long arcs. So, I don't know. Maybe they'll bring in, you know, their version of General Zod, so that'll be interesting.
Well, I was going to say to that, it looks like Clara's aunt is going to be the villain at the end of the episode, because she's like, you know, my niece or whatever.
Yes.
So it's basically a female Zod.
Yeah.
So I mean, I was kind of like, that was one thing that I was just kind of like, oh look, a female Zod. Sigh. I mean, it's not really original, but it's not a terrible idea to do that. I mean, because that's who Superman's first villain in Man of Steel is, and so there is kind of a comparison where the first main villain is going to be Kryptonian, and she's going to want to probably I'm just only going to guess here, she's probably going to want to, you know, terraform Earth or enslave humankind or whatever, because, you know, she probably has this god complex, and, you know, it's not in Kara's genes to you know, go along with that, and so she's going to defend humankind and whatnot, and you know, it's just basically Superman's story, only with a female version. So it's kind of like, you know, I mean,
they're going to try and do the whole Man of Steel type of deal where their first villain has some sort of ties to Krypton and, you know, them personally, so that way they can get some added drama to it, I suppose. And, you know, we'll see how it goes. I mean, honestly, this can't get any worse than the Supergirl movie, so.
Yeah. And literally everyone on the show, except for her boss, knows that she's Supergirl.
Yeah, that is true.
I mean, everyone.
Yeah. Even friggin' Jimmy Olsen knows. Everyone knows.
They did not waste time on that.
Yeah.
I mean, I was like, holy shit.
Yeah, I guess we don't have to worry about any, like, secret identity shenanigans going on, I suppose.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Still good to see that the DC universe is pretty incompetent and oblivious to the fact that someone looks different with or without glasses.
Oh yeah.
That's. I mean, like, Superman is my favorite hero. That's one of the biggest problems I have. Like, back in the day, okay, it was kind of like, you know, whatever. Like, now, you know, we have, you know, with modern technology, it's kind of like, well, it doesn't make sense.
Oh, no, not at all. Just waiting for the day when someone holds a poster of Superman next to him, like,
Yeah, with modern technology, and we're able to, like, verify, like, person's identity, it's, like, not realistic whatsoever.
Yeah.
And, like, I was actually, like, I'm gonna go off kind of a little bit here, but, like, I read, like, I guess you could say a fanfic once about someone, like, explaining how they could change it a little bit, and, like, how instead of them being regular glasses, Clark uses, like, a Kryptonian clear crystal that kind of alters the perception of humans.
Okay.
So when they look at him, he appears different. It, like, tricks the mind or whatever. And, like, you know, it just kind of baffles me why. And I read that, and it's brilliant, because, you know, it kind of gives it a science-y, you know, feel, and it kind of is better than the, oh, you look different with glasses. So, like, you know, like, Clark's standing there, he takes his glasses off. It's Superman. Puts his glasses back on. Oh, hey, Clark, how you doing? You know, yeah. So, I mean, I think it's a better, something like that is a better explanation than just like, oh, hey, we're really stupid and we just can't tell that you look different with fucking glasses.
Also, she doesn't really do a good job of trying to even hide it from the people that don't know, because she's like, when her boss is, like, talking about her or whatever, and, you know, like, the type of hair, she's like, oh, well, I don't know. Like,
Yeah.
you're really not trying here, honey. You're...
I don't know. I haven't. I don't know why like DC hasn't done something like that in the comics. I don't think.
Well, I mean, like,
Snyder.
I think like
I don't
right
think
now.
Snyder's gonna do it in.
Oh no.
In
It'd be a waste of time.
Yeah, I just. I mean, I would like further like some further explanation that everyone's just stupid, but it's just a. I don't know. It's not a huge deal, but it's just one of those things where it's like, okay, come on. I mean,
you find it
gotta update
irksome.
it.
It's a little.
It irks. It irks you a little bit because it's kind of silly. It really is. And like I understand, like Superman was made back in the 30s.
Says the nerds talking about comic book characters.
Yeah, right. Like Superman was made back in the 30s, and like they didn't have the technology we do now, and so like you could have gotten away with it back then.
They also didn't have superheroes, so
yeah,
you kind of just were like, all right, cool.
And like you could have gotten away with it back then, you know, but now like with everything, like when we have like facial recognition and fingerprint recognition, stuff like that, it's just like, you know, you could think of something to do that's explains it a little better than just negligence or ignorance.
Alrighty.
I digress. That is my 3-minute rant on Superman and Supergirl's glasses.
You didn't think we could pull it off, did you? Well, we did. Prove you wrong. Alright, so move on from your rant now onto more aspects of the pilot. One thing I did want to talk about, because I think it's the biggest highlight of the show, was the CGI and the action. I thought looked really good, especially the CGI. Apparently, rumor is like right now they spend like well over like $10 million on this pilot.
Yeah.
Just to make it look good, you know, just to get, you know, the CG, because the CGI does look really good for television.
It goes all downhill from here.
Yeah, it'll probably they spent their whole budget on the first episode. Yeah, I mean it did pay off because, you know, their freaking ratings are gigantic.
The scene where she like goes head on with the semi and the explosion, I was pretty impressed with that. It was pretty cool looking. I was like, holy shit, that was a pretty cool scene there for TV.
Yeah, it's definitely, it really looks good, and they're able to use it very well, even in like the smaller action like fight scenes that happen. They still use it very well, like when she's fighting the whatever his name is. Was it the Woodsman or the Axe or something like the Axe? There's some comic book version of him whose name escapes me. It's some F-list villain who no one's heard of. And when they're fighting at like what looks like some abandoned warehouse type of deal, he's like smashing his axe down. She uses the heat vision. Her heat vision, which actually looks really good because it's like she's got... It almost looks like they did in kind of in Man of Steel, where you have the veins a little bit light up around it, where they start stressing a lot. Yeah, it looks really good. The plane sequence near the beginning, like the first act of the episode, is also really good. I mean, granted, they did the same thing in Superman Returns, but it's still a cool scene.
It's not a super something movie or show if you're not saving a plane.
That's right. And of course, just like Superman Returns, the plane scene's the highlight of this episode, I thought, so.
Oh, gosh. Yeah. Oh, don't even get me started on that movie.
Yeah, we'll save that for another video.
Oh.
But yeah, I thought that was really strong, and the action was well directed. It's just, I really want them with the next couple episodes, with the rest of the season and everything, to improve on the writing. Tone-wise, I think it's fine for this kind of a show. Characters, I thought were fine. I didn't really have a problem with any of the characterizations. So that's all fine with me. Hopefully we get to see more of Dean Cain in his brief appearance as her dad.
Oh,
yeah. So, any final thoughts on this episode?
Nothing that we have already stated. It's a pretty solid episode. You know, I think expectations were low for the show.
Yeah.
Too, and so I think that's why I really liked it. So we'll see how I react to the rest of the episodes now that my expectations are a little higher. Because it does make a difference. But yeah, it was a very strong pilot, I felt like. And I saw some people were like, "Is it the worst TV show ever?" And it's like, by far not.
No.
I mean, it actually was well received. So, I mean, whatever your opinions are on the show, a lot of people liked it because the ratings did very well.
Yeah.
So.
Some Very good ratings for this show. Let us know what you guys thought below in the comments. Just let us know, because we're actually really curious to figure out what our viewers think of the pilot, because we liked it, thought it was a strong premiere. We'll definitely be sticking around for more, obviously, and we hope to see you guys for those episodes. You all take care now, everyone.
Bye.